No bug, please. Good. Okay, about time. Jeez. That was really bad. And I didn't get the third coin. I think it's in the last cube. I don't remember where the third coin is. I don't really care to. Oh, whatever. Oh, I think I remember where it is now. Yeah, whatever. No big deal. Yeah, 1655 attempts. 621 of those were old. So, just under 1400. What would it be? Because it'd be 61 is 6 over, so it'd be 1394 attempts, I think. If that's wrong, I'll put the correct thing in the description, but I think it's 1394 new attempts. This, I was on track, genuinely. I was on track to beat this in like 600 attempts, and I got, what was it? I got 73, like pretty much immediately from 0, like fluke from first 2 spike jumps at the start. Like, I was on a roll, and I was like, oh, cool, well, okay, I'll have this done pretty quickly. And then I just, like, kept dying to the last ship. Every time I got there, it was ridiculous. I died past the last ship once, luckily only once. But yeah, that last ship, man, that last ship is so deceptively difficult. I thought when I was practicing it that it wasn't too bad, and then as I started dying to it, I went back and practiced it. I'm like, no, this is the hardest part of the level. Like, just pretty blatantly, this is the hardest part of the level. Like, very clearly, at least in my opinion. That last ship is brutal, and part of it is that the design of it is not great. Like, there's some pretty poor choices made gameplay-wise, but, like, it's a 2.0 level. Fucking, of course there are poor choices made gameplay-wise. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So I guess I'll mention now, I switched to 60 Hz for the first cube and the last cube, because the first cube is way more consistent on 60, and the last cube, you die pretty much guaranteed to the last, I think guaranteed actually, to the last orb on 60 if you buffer, or on anything but 60 if you buffer. Switching to 60 at the end, fun fact, does not prevent that bug from happening. If you switch to 60 at the wrong time, your frame alignment can make it so that you will still die at that buffer. It was sort of a rare occurrence, but it did happen like 2 or 3 times when I was practicing. So it's not a guarantee that you'll pass it if you switch. But whatever. Yeah, this was okay. This was fine. The first cube was just kind of boring to sit through, especially with some of the clicks being kind of gross, especially the jump over the 2 spike on top of the, like, hill-looking thing, because you have to get, like, a weird jump onto the slope before that jump, so that you, like, end up on the 1-block slope at the right spot to get that jump. It's really awkward and kind of weird, whatever. The mini cube was mostly fine once I figured it out. It's just really spammy, so there's just some parts that are just gonna sometimes break on you for what feels like no reason, which was sort of frustrating. The ball part is, I think, maybe the other hard... Well, the ball part and the UFO parts are the 2 other hard parts. Just the start of the ball and, like, a few clicks in the UFO were really kind of rude. Obviously, the start of the ball is brutal. My double-click strategy I found really consistent, though. You line up... You do a double-click when your ball is above the, like, weird pointy deco... You know, the upside-down, like, pointed deco object with the holes in it, like the almost, like, spearhead-looking thing. 2 from the end, like the second one of those from the end, you double click then, and it just kind of worked for me. I don't know if anyone else would find that useful, but I liked that strategy a lot. Rest of the ball was pretty much fine. The transition into the UFO is kind of awkward because it is a do-it-yourself transition, and you have to kind of read it on the fly. It wasn't my favorite. And then a lot of this UFO is just kind of awkward. The third of the first 3 kind of gaps you go through, because you're dealing with the ground, I did the 3 clicks there just to make it more consistent, because if you do 1 click, you have to either strategically dodge the floor so you don't bonk and fall fast, or you have to strategically barely miss the spike, like just jump barely past the spike, so that even though you will bonk, you don't have to worry about it, because you'll make it past falling on the other side of it. So I just did 3 clicks there to make that more consistent. The 4 clicks up after the green orb, in like the part that almost feels kind of like open, right? The the like 4 clicks up there, that was kind of annoying because it's just like, it was fine. It wasn't a big deal, but I found myself dying there a lot because it's very easy to click too quickly or too slowly. And I found no good setup for that didn't involve hitting the block before the upside down portal. I don't know how you're supposed to do that part. Maybe I was doing it wrong, I don't know. I found that when I did my strategy right, it was super consistent, but it was just very easy to mess up because it is very dependent on how you kind of space out the clicks and whatever. The one blue orb after so you know the big tunnel of like gravity portals, and there's blue orb, jump into the upside down portal, and then that blue orb, the third of those clicks. That blue orb is insanely tight. Holy shit. I died there a lot. Not as much as I should have. That click is insanely tight, especially considering it is a dependent click on the previous clicks. The fact that I only died there maybe 1 in 3 or 4 times I was there is genuinely surprising to me. Is there anything else in that UFO that was too much of a problem? What came after that? Oh no, the rest of the UFO was pretty much fine. I don't like UFO spam, like the UFO spam at the end, but it was easy enough. The one thing I'll say is the cube portal fall out. Oh jeez, I'm tired. The cube portal fall out, which works so well with the song, by the way, just like really good song representation, especially for a 2.0 level. Like that little moment of the doo is really cool. I like that. Only problem I had with it is you could so 2 things. If you didn't click close enough to the portal, which again feels kind of random and arbitrary, you can fall and die to the spike, even though they made it a smaller one, the spike right at the end of the spam, which I wasn't a huge fan of. But then, sort of more importantly, because this would happen more often, and I never died to that from 0, but I didn't practice, but more importantly, if you have upwards momentum going into the cube portal, like if you jumped as the UFO like a few frames before you went into the cube portal and you never actually hit your head, you would fall a little bit farther to the right, which means that you enter the wave portal a little bit lower because you jump into it later. And because of that, you have to kind of cognizantly like hold in to the portal just a little bit before you start spamming, so you're not spamming really low. I caught that maybe 2 or 3 times from 0 happening, and I like had to correct for it. Never died to this wave. I thought the wave was fine. Obviously much harder on lower refresh rates, but I never had an issue with it. And then the ship is just fucking impossible. The ship is just impossible. I easily died to the ship multiple, like double-digit times. Right? I'm pretty confident in that. It was probably hovering around 10, but I think safely 10. It's insanely hard. Like, it seems unassuming once you kind of know what you're doing, and then you just discover ways to fuck it up. Like, I would straight up miss the yellow orb at 75 because I clicked too early. I one time clicked the yellow orb at 75 so early that I died to the spike to the left of the upside down portal. Like on the top of the structure, which I didn't even know was possible until I did it from 0. Getting the second coin, I thought, personally, maybe kind of... I don't know if it nerfed the part. It felt like not too hard, though, so I went for it. I sort of instinctively did that path, and then was just like, oh, well, that wasn't that bad. And I think I only died getting into the coin part once and never actually in the corridor, so it wasn't a big deal. Yeah, it's just everything about that ship. Like, anything in that ship you could die to. And then the transition out, when you go into the robot portal, you have to kind of either be high in the portal or kind of hold up into the portal just a tiny bit. Because you can just very easily turn into a robot and fall into the spike below you. Which is just like, what? Like, even for when this was made and who this was made by, like, that's clearly something you just, like, fix. Right? Especially considering you kind of paid attention to that and noticed it at the end of the UFO spam. Like, surely you fix it there, too, right? It was just a weird... It's a weird choice to leave that in. I mean, regardless of era that this was built in, that could have been caught, for sure. And then the last robot's just got some very tricky jumps in it, but it wasn't too bad. Like I said, I only died there once from 0, I'm pretty sure. So, no big deal. Well, did I die there twice? Once, maybe twice. I only remember one, but I very well could have had another one in there that I just, like, don't remember. And then, like I say, last cube is last cube, whatever. Yeah, well, there you go. Heartbeat done. Figured I'd do this coming back to it. I just wanted to do kind of an easier extreme. Get back into extremes. I was hoping that would take me less attempts, but oh well. Oh well. Whatever. It's fine. Oh, who has 99? Oh, that's unfortunate. Whatever. What are you going to do? Alright. Well, I'm going to cut the recording here now. Wait, I didn't press a button.